Good morning. My name is Maureen Harvey, and I am the worship associate today. My pronouns are she, hers. I am a short, older woman with gray hair, and I'm wearing royal blue. Welcome, everyone. This hour is an opportunity for reflection and to open ourselves up to encounter the sacred. I'm glad to be a member here because having a set time every week where I intentionally slow down and give myself space for renewal nourishes my spirit and fortifies me for the challenges ahead. Thank you to our team of volunteers and staff who make Sunday mornings possible. Welcome to our online participants on YouTube. Please introduce yourself to each other in the chat. We are blessed to have a big, beautiful church building. Unfortunately, our parking does not match. On Sundays, if it's easy for you, please park in the lot across 13th Street to allow people with visitors and anyone needing easy access to park next to the building. Similarly, if climbing stairs is comfortable for you, consider sitting upstairs in the balcony sometimes. Please silence your mobile phones or other devices that might distract us for the next hour. We always have fun events for people for every age and interest. For instance, there will be a brown bag lunch and learning session, Anatomy of a Scam, Why Are So Many People Becoming Victims, this Wednesday, February 25th from 12 to 1:30 in Daniel Hall. The presenter will be Staff Sergeant Tara Harden from the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. And today, after the service, is the Alliance's Buck-a-Dip Lunch, where there will be lots of options for a tasty and inexpensive lunch. More information about events is available in the order of service, the weekly newsletter, or our website. We strive to share information. Staying informed about community life is a shared responsibility. If you are not yet on our email list, please use the QR code in the order of service to sign up. If you are online, you can sign up under the newcomers section of our website. You may have noticed in the newsletter there will be a memorial service for Scott's and my son, Kimber, on March 1st at 1 p.m., followed by a reception. He legally changed his name to Nestor Linnell, so it's a little confusing. But March 1st would have been his 34th birthday. At this time, let's take a short moment to turn to greet folks sitting near you. Thank you for helping create the warm welcome of the community. After the service, please come into Daniel Hall and enjoy visiting over lunch. The flowers on the altar table this morning were donated by Becky Talent in honor of her mother, Marie, who would have turned 90 on February 26th. So, next up, welcome Ivy Love. She's going to tell us a little bit about why she supports First Unitarian Church.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ivy Love, she, her. I'm a middle-aged white woman in a navy blue dress with brown hair. I wrote in my notes, pulled back in a bun, but I didn't manage that this morning, so I'm just a white woman in a blue dress with brown hair. Some of you have heard me tell how I ended up here before, but for the rest of you, I was visiting my sister Grace maybe 8 or 9 years ago from DC, where I was living at the time. I can't remember where we had been, but we were driving down 13th through Midtown, and out of the blue, she pointed at a church, this church, and said, if you ever do move here, and if you feel like you want to be in church again, I think you might like it there. And it's actually funny that I'm speaking to you right now because my calendar reminded me earlier this week that I moved into my house in Oklahoma City 2 years ago today. And when I moved in, I didn't know anyone in the area but my sister and her family, really. So I followed her advice from years before, and I showed up at First Unitarian a few weeks later in search of people, in search of my people. And Grace, per usual, was exactly right. The warm and welcoming community that I've found here is a pillar of the strong sense of belonging that I have now in Oklahoma City. No matter what happens any given week, I can show up here on a Sunday morning to sit with and sing with and talk to people who I care about and who care about me, even if we're just meeting for the first time. And all of us here together care really deeply about our Oklahoma home, both in these walls and outside. And now, 2 years since I walked in those doors the first time, I count among my friends Unitarians who are 15 years younger than me and 40 years older than me. The rotating church dinner parties in late 2024 and early 2025 are some of the best moments of my first year in Oklahoma, including the first time I had any non-family members over at my house for dinner, and there were 7 of you, and I did not have all my house projects done, and they're still not done. I see old and new friends at Brew. I treasure time with the under 40 over easy crew. I coordinate Change for Change now. I already can't wait to work the kitchen again for Bohemian Cafe. And now, when she can, my sister comes to my church, though I think it's effectively our church now. We've historically been pretty good about sharing things. The core message that I really want to share with you about my experience at First Unitarian during this pledge season is that this church community has been a safe haven and a continual source of strength for me here. What better place to be than with each other when so much in the world feels unstable and uncertain? That's why I love it here today. That's why I hope to continue to support the church, just being here and with my pledge for many more years to come after a really, really wonderful first 2 years. Thanks.
We are 1 week into our pledge campaign this year, and it is going strong. We have 4 pledges from people who are pledging for the first time. Over 1/3 of our members have already submitted their intent to pledge forms. Of those, over half have increased their pledge for the coming year. Almost 40% have generously increased their pledge by 10% or more. Wow, what a statement about our belief in this church community. Have you made your pledge yet? Thank you. If you haven't already, drop by the stewardship table in Daniel Hall after the service and add your note to our banner sharing why you support this church. Haven't made your pledge? We hope that you can do that today. You can also pledge using the QR code on the back of the order of service, or the stewardship table will have paper copies for you to complete and leave at the table. If your circumstances don't allow you to pledge this year, we understand. Please talk with Reverend Kent and request a waiver for this year so that we can keep you active in our membership roles. We need each of you to help us keep the chalice lit. If you are watching from home, we invite you to light a candle or chalice as we light our chalice here. This morning, the chalice will be lit by Jessica Lothrop. We light our chalice in Midtown, Oklahoma City, on land that was home to First Americans, including the Apache, Caddo, and Wichita, on land that was taken from the Muskogee and Seminole and other removed and relocated peoples. Give us the child who lives within. Give us a child's eyes that we may receive the beauty and freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us a child's ears that we may hear the music of mythical times. Give us a child's heart that we may be filled with wonder and delight. Give us a child's faith that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of the child who is not afraid to need, who is not afraid to love. Amen. Please join me in reading our covenant. The words can be found in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Kent. I'm a tallish, middle-aged white man with brown hair, wearing a black clergy robe and a purple and green and blue stole. I use he, him pronouns. This call to worship comes from a friend of mine, Ian Riddell. He says, "Come one, come all, come with your missing pieces and your extra screws. Come with your hard edges and soft spots. Come with your bowed heads and your upright spines. Come, all you flamboyant and drab, verbose and quiet fidgeting and lethargic. All you with large vision and tender hearts, all you with small courage and tender fears. Bring your lisp and your stutter and your song. Bring your gravel and your drawl and your lilt. Bring your anger and your joy and your righteous indignation. Misfits and conformists and everyone in between, come into this space and be welcome. Bring who you are, bring where you have traveled, bring what you long for, and let us worship together. Friends, welcome to our time to be together and worship. Our opening hymn today is Faith is a Forest. It's number 194. This is an unfamiliar tune for us, so Kate's going to play it through before we start singing, but please rise in body or in spirit to sing together. would you join me for a short moment of prayer? Spirit of life, God of many names, mystery beyond naming, we gather in thanks for this day to be together. For just a moment, we align ourselves with compassion that is even bigger than we might imagine. Our hearts go out to our friends in New England preparing for dangerous winter weather. Our hearts go out to Cuba and every other country where imperialism has destroyed local economies. We hold in our hearts the survivors of sexual assault, with the daily reminder of how normalized exploitation is in our American culture. We open our hearts and share our love as we are able, knowing that it is not our job alone. We remind ourselves and each other that there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in that love. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Tim Atkins. I serve as your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. I'm both big and tall, wearing rainbow glasses and a blue and white striped shirt. So today I have an original story for you called The Toolbox on Dewey Avenue. And I need your help with this story. Every time you hear me say, "Does it work?" I want you to say nice and loud, "If it helps you love, it works." So let's practice. Does it work?
If it helps you love, it works.
Beautiful. I can already tell this is going to go well. So our story begins on Dewey Avenue, where there were 4 neighbors who all believed very different things about the world. Mrs. Alvarez believed in God. Every morning she lit a candle and said a prayer before breakfast. Mr. Chen did not believe in God at all, but every morning he stood very still by his window and practiced gratitude, just whispering, "Thank you for this day." Samira believed that the whole universe was one big connected energy field, like a big cosmic Wi-Fi signal, and she meditated to log in. And Jordan wasn't sure what they believed yet. Some days God made sense, some days science made sense, some days neither did. Jordan mostly just asked a lot of questions. Now, does that sound familiar to anyone here? Now, one day, a big Oklahoma storm rolled down Dewey Avenue. Wind howled, branches cracked, trash cans rolled down the sidewalk like runaway robots. After the storm, the street was a mess. A tree had fallen across Mrs. Alvarez's yard. Mr. Chen's fence had blown down. Samira's garden was flattened, and Jordan's basketball hoop was lying dramatically on its side like it had fainted. So what did they do? Mrs. Alvarez said, "I'll pray for strength, and then I'm grabbing my saw." Mr. Chen said, "I'll practice gratitude, and then I'm grabbing my hammer." Samira said, "The universe is calling us to cooperation, and I'm grabbing my shovel." Jordan said, "I don't know what I believe, but I believe we need snacks," and ran inside for granola bars. They worked all afternoon, sewing, hammering, digging, sweating, laughing. Now here's the important question. Does it work? Exactly. So nobody stopped in the middle of the clearing, the tree, to argue about who was right about the universe. No one said, "Wait, before I help you with your fence, I need to know your position on eternity." They just helped. That night, after everything was cleaned up, they sat together on the curb, tired and muddy. Mrs. Alvarez said, "My prayer helps me remember that I'm not alone." Mr. Chen said, "My gratitude helped me stay calm." Samira said, my meditation helps me feel connected. And Jordan said, my questions helped me stay curious. And do you know what all 4 of them had in common? They showed up. They helped each other. They were kind. So does it work? So here's the deeper layer. Faith isn't a math test. It's not about getting the right answer in correct cosmic ink. Faith is more like a toolbox. Some people have a prayer tool. Some people have a science tool. Some people have a meditation tool. Some people have a question tool. The question isn't, is your toolbox exactly like mine? The question is, and you know it by now, does it work? Now the important part, if someone's belief makes them cruel or small or mean to other people, that's not working. Because if your faith, whatever it is, doesn't make you into a more loving, more generous, more brave, more kind person, then it's just a very fancy toolbox that you never open. And here at our church, we don't all believe the same things. Some of us pray, some of us don't. Some of us believe in God. Some of us believe in human goodness. Some of us believe in mystery. A lot of us believe in asking questions. And that is perfectly fine. Because we are not here to make everyone think the same thing. We are here to help each other become good people. So when you meet someone who believes something different from you, instead of asking, are they right, maybe ask, does it work? And if it helps them love their neighbor, stand up for justice, tell the truth, and share their snacks, and help clean up after the storm, then, friends, it works. The end. So now is the time in our service where we sing our children and youth off to their religious exploration clubs. We have 2 clubs today, Art Club and Games Club. So our children and youth are off to do some artsy game funness. Please join us in singing them out to the tune Turn the World Around. Their lyrics are in your order of service.
My faith. Having been brought up Catholic, I have mixed feelings about the word faith. Of course, I Googled the word faith, and one of its meanings is strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual conviction rather than proof. This left me uninspired. But the other definition, complete trust or confidence in someone or something, resonates with me. I used to have faith in the American people that they would do the right thing. This faith has been shaken, but now I just hope they'll do the right thing. I have faith in life. Life has a way of working out in ways we can't predict and can't control. But looking back on my life, I am amazed at how one thing led to another and another, like a string of beads. It can only be viewed looking backwards, and it reveals a beautiful, connected symmetry I could not have created myself. It does make me wonder. There's a saying on my fridge, "You find your path by walking it." I have faith in that. A lesson I learned in art is that you have to trust the process. Inevitably, you get to a point where you're stuck and nothing is working. I call this the slog. And experience has shown me if I keep at it and work through the slog, a resolution will come. When I'm in the slog, I feel like giving up, but my faith in the process sees me through. And life is a process, isn't it? I find when I get too hung up on an outcome, I'm setting myself up for disappointment. And this is why faith is so important, because we don't know how things will turn out. It helps to have someone or something we can rely on, like One UC. When I'm in the slog of life, I have faith that there will be friends here to listen and a continuity I can count on. Generosity is a spiritual practice that we embrace every Sunday when we take an offering. All the cash and designated checks are distributed directly to an external nonprofit doing good work in the world. This month, our offering goes to the Spiro Project. Spiro's purpose is to specifically serve the refugee community. Their first and most important work is to create the most welcoming city to newly arrived refugees. They work to ensure every new neighbor is known and feels connected to the larger Oklahoma community. In addition, they offer resources and learning opportunities that help in practical transition to Oklahoma. As we enjoy the offertory music, our ushers will pass the offering plate in the sanctuary. Online, you can make a gift through the One UC website or send a check to First Unitarian. Just write "Change for Change" on the memo line. Would the ushers please come forward and receive the offering?
James Luther Adams writes, "The question concerning faith is not, shall I be a person of faith? The proper question is rather, which faith is mine? Or better, which faith should be mine? For whether a person craves prestige, wealth, security, or amusement, whether a person lives for country or science or God or for plunder, that person is demonstrating a faith, is showing that she or he puts confidence in something. The faiths of the 20th century have been as powerful and influential as any that have ever been. They have created its sciences and its atom bombs, its nationalisms and its internationalisms, its wars and its peace, its heroism and its despair, its Hollywoods and its Broadways, its Wall Streets and its Main Streets, its Gestapos and undergrounds, its democracies and its fascisms, its socialisms and its communisms, its wealth and its poverty, its insecurities and its securities, its beliefs and its unbeliefs, its questions and its answers. We must not believe every pious man's religion to be what he says it is. He may go to church regularly. He may profess some denominational affiliation. He may repeat his creed regularly. But he may actually give his deepest loyalty to something quite different from these things, from what they represent. Find out what that is, and you have found his religion. Here ends our reading.
Oh no, I'm coming to the pulpit, which means congratulations, you've joined the choir today. Yay! Okay, so before I introduce the song and I introduce your part that you get to sing along with us, we are currently going to be singing Love is Love by Abby Batinas, and this is from the Justice Choir Songbook. Justice Choir is a template for more community singing for social and environmental justice. It's designed around the Justice Songbook, a powerful new collection of around 43 songs for equality, justice, love, peace, and other issues of our time. The songbook is made possible by Westminster Presbyterian Church of Minneapolis. So, this is how we are going to start this. The choir will sing through your line, which is line number 3. You don't really know that, but that's just for me to say out loud. Line number 3, choir. And our second time around, hi Patricia. Our second time around, I would encourage you to join us so you learn your part. Once you learn your part, that is your part that you sing forever and ever and ever, amen, until I give you this sign, which we will all sing together one last time. So choir, can we introduce their theme, please, with Kate's help? Just on our parts. And yes, please rise, it's time. Ready, and love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. Please join us. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is love. And then we go on and so forth. Comments, questions, concerned on your line, congregation? I hear no notes. Okay, here we go. We will all start on line 3. The choir's going to be doing some other canon-like sequences around you, but you stay strong. Here we go. One second, let me get all my tools and all these things. Take it away, Kate.
Would you join me for a short moment of silence? You might call it meditation or prayer or just stilling your heart and mind for a second. You might let your eyes gently close, settle into that seat, and let us join together in silence. Namaste. Amen. Shalom and blessed be. More and more, I'm hearing from my colleagues as Unitarian Universalists turn toward the writings of James Luther Adams. Perhaps you've heard of him, perhaps not. I'm going to use his model of 3 components of a free faith to talk about how we might build a faith that works for us today. But before I do, I want to give you a little background as to why people are turning to Adams with such enthusiasm right now. James Luther Adams was possibly the most influential Unitarian Universalist theologian and ethicist of the 20th century. He was a professor at Harvard and Meadville Lombard. He was always a deeply religious and academically inclined person, but his encounter with Nazism shaped his trajectory and his thinking. Beginning in 1927, Adams traveled to Germany to study multiple times. In the world of academic theology, all the heavy hitters were living and writing in Germany. So if you wanted to study with the best, that was the place to be, without a doubt. His first jolt came in 1927. While attending a Nazi festival out of pure curiosity at this bizarre moment, Adams started a conversation with a few people about the Jewish question, as they called it. The small conversation quickly grew larger and larger, and suddenly a forceful hand pulled him out of the crowd and marched him down an alleyway nearby. It was terrifying. Luckily, the forceful stranger was not a Nazi sympathizer, but someone trying to protect Adams. He warned him, "Don't you know a conversation like that will get your head bashed in at one of these rallies?" It was a serious wake-up call for a naive American. It didn't completely scare him away, though. During his 1935 to 36 Germany trips, Adam was detained and interrogated by the Gestapo multiple times for his association with the underground church in Germany, a sort of anti-Nazi movement. This repeated exposure to fascism, the front row seat to the rise of Nazism, shaped his theology and ethics. But maybe the most jarring thing for Adams was his witnessing of polite liberalism and its failure to stop anything. James Luther Adams was deeply unsettled to find that Germany's long tradition of liberal theology offered no effective resource for resisting Hitler. He concluded that a purely spiritual religion is a purely spurious religion. He spent the rest of his life describing faith that made a difference, not just for the individual, but for the world. From that introduction, you may be expecting another social justice sermon. This is not. This is more about building a personal faith that is impactful for your own life. But I want to make it as clear as I possibly can. Attending to personal faith goes hand in hand with building communities of resistance. Attending to personal faith is a key component to fighting fascism and other evils that endanger our world. To talk about faith that works, I want to build on the three components that Adams argued are necessary for free religion. First, he said that, quote, "Our ultimate dependence for being and freedom is upon creative processes not of our own making." Let me repeat that. Our ultimate dependence for being and freedom is upon creative processes not of our own making. This says nothing of God or Jesus or the church or sacred texts. It simply says that we are not solely responsible for our own lives. In fact, we are ultimately deeply dependent on something greater than ourselves for our very existence. For most, that truth is obvious. But James Luther Adams and I want to ask not just about knowing that truth in our heads, but about feeling it within. What happens when we bring the reality of our dependence down from an idea in our heads down to a feeling that animates our hearts? What would it look like to live day to day in our bodies, acting in response to that ultimate dependence? This is an especially pressing question for our atheists and agnostics among us. Realizing that you do not believe in God does not mean that your reflection or your faith is finished. With or without something that you call God, the question remains, what do you believe in with regard to that creative process upon which your life and freedom depend? I'm not asking just what you think. I'm asking what belief about dependence lives in your heart and animates your lives. You may be thinking, I've never felt that way before. So I want to offer you a few on-ramps, a few ways that you probably have encountered faith that stirs your heart. The first on-ramp is your non-negotiable values. I mean, what gets you animated and frustrated? For some reason this week, I was reminded of my mother's love for animals. In a television show or in a movie, if a dog is killed in a scene, there's a very good chance that she will walk out of the room and be done with the whole thing. She cannot abide that type of violence. That speaks to a value of compassion for innocent beings. In that reaction and that commitment, there's a reflection of what she finds sacred. What are the values that motivate you, either negatively or positively? I recently saw a social media post that one of those inspiring posts that suggests that you only have to make two people proud in your life. Those two people are your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. Which begs the question, for you, what values or ways of being would make you proud or satisfied in the way you have lived your life? Identifying those visceral reactions to values reveals how you think the world is or how the world should be, and where the power of the sacred is aligned in this life. So what are your non-negotiable values? Another touch point for understanding that source of being is through stories. I think we know religious traditions are chock full of stories. Some of those stories are quite good. As individuals, we're drawn to some stories more than others. Pay attention to that. The stories that capture you illustrate your understanding of life and what life should be. This isn't about stories that you are told to believe because someone said that they're true. The question is, which of the stories that you encounter resonate with you and stick with you? For me, the story of Moses resonates powerfully. That's in part because of the story of his adoption. It's in part because of the reluctance with which he took up his calling. It's in part the liberation of people through the alignment with a holy truth. It's his walking with people literally and figuratively, and a dedication to a vision of a future that is far, far off in the horizon, so far that his own generation may not make it. A story can be as much a challenge as it is a comfort. There are so many incredible stories in different faith traditions. I also find the prodigal son moving, the challenge that it calls us to love and to accept love that we cannot earn. In a very different way, I find the story of creation, I mean the scientific cosmology, the Big Bang, or the Big Birth as I like to call it, absolutely fascinating. The unfolding of life and consciousness on this blue marble is a saga that overwhelms my heart. So what are the stories that resonate with you? What are the stories that illustrate the truth of life or how life should be? The last on-ramp that I want to talk about is probably the most important. Our UUA bylaws refer to it as the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder that is affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to forces which create and uphold life. What does your experience tell you about the sacred? Where have you experienced a sense of peace or awe that really defies logic? Most people I know have had some level of spiritual experience in nature, a sense of connection with the web of life. Many others experience the sacred in religious buildings or museums. For some people, it happens in concerts or social gatherings, social justice gatherings. So I would ask, where do you find that numinous, ineffable, transcendent feeling that is bigger than the present reality? Step one is to remember those moments. The second step is to peel back one layer of that onion and ask, what's happening in that place where you encountered the sacred? Is human love being exhibited? Or perhaps human creativity? Are you awestruck by the power of nature, the unstoppable impulse toward life? Or maybe you're experiencing stillness and emptiness and peace, all of which have been attributed to the sacred. Or maybe you're experiencing the opposite. It's a tidal wave of color and sound and beauty and stimulation. Perhaps for you, the sacred is about abundance and overwhelming joy. You can reflect back on those past experiences, but please, the next time you have that sense of something stirring in your heart, that you're engaging in something bigger in yourself, some power is given rise to your existence, the next time that happens, pay attention. My friends, that is an on-ramp to a faith that works for you. For too long in liberal religion, we've focused on logic and reason. Logic and reason are lovely, don't get me wrong. I know I'm in a Unitarian Universalist church here. But in the world of faith, they are neither adequate nor necessary for building a theology that works. It is okay if what you know to be true doesn't fit together as neatly as a jigsaw puzzle. Good theology doesn't read like algebra. Ralph Waldo Emerson says it this way: "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." For too long, Unitarian Universalists have shackled their faith to rigid expectations of literalism and perfect consistency. We know that the most influential religious leaders have taught through stories and metaphors. Indigenous traditions are a story after a story after a story as they build a reality. Faith is much more like a collage than it is an algebra equation. So that's a very long answer to James Luther Adams' first requirement of a free faith, that our ultimate dependence for being and freedom is upon creative processes not of our own making. The second and third requirements are no less important, but for us today, I think the second and third are a lot more straightforward. The second says that the commanding, sustaining, transforming reality finds its richest focus in meaningful human history. Put a lot more succinctly, Adams writes, faith is a sister to justice. As we've been talking about all morning, faith that works is not just about working for us, it's about working for our wider world. And finally, the third and final requirement of a free faith, according to Adams, is it requires the power of organization and the organization of power. We get a little uneasy when it comes to power because we've seen it do some pretty scary things. But power is not inherently bad. I've often heard it described sort of like fire or water. It just is. When used well, fire and water are tools for sustaining and thriving life. But put in the wrong hands or completely ignored, both fire and water can be incredibly dangerous things. Power, similarly, just is. And when we come together in organizations and institutions, we collect power, whether we realize it or not. Our individual lives pull together to a force. One small example of that happened this past weekend at City Hall. For decades, I just recently learned that a scrap metal yard in northeastern Oklahoma City has been causing a bunch of explosions as it processes cars. Some days it happens multiple times a day. When they process cars, some of them still have gas in their tanks, and big, thunderous explosions happen. The shock is so intense that it has damaged newly built homes in the adjacent neighborhood. It sounds insane to us because most of us don't live in neighborhoods that have been subjected to environmental racism. But this scrapyard is just across the railroad tracks from a thriving, historically black neighborhood. So the JFK Neighborhood Association has been fighting this problem for decades. The latest battle was with the City Board of Adjustment as the scrap company went to them for approval for new equipment and a slight expansion of their operations. Long story short, Voice organized a letter in solidarity with the JFK Neighborhood Association. By organizing, I was able to show up at that meeting with a letter on behalf of 8 other clergy people in the city and 7 different churches from just about every neighborhood in the city supporting our friends in the JFK Neighborhood Association. Representing 7 different churches from across the city is very different from showing up to make a solitary public comment. Now, we didn't swoop in and save the day. The neighborhood association would have won this battle even without Voice's involvement or my little letter. But my point is that organizing our faith communities together amplified our power. Power is important. Faith that works accounts for the management and the distribution of power. This goes way back in American Unitarianism. Several of our imperfect American founding fathers were Unitarians. I think most of you know that. The democratic process and its understanding of human wisdom is part of our faith. We believe in humans' ability to make better decisions together. Making careful decisions together is a reflection of what is right and true. Democracy is a reflection of our faith. James Luther Adams formed his Unitarian Universalist faith and his social ethics in response to the rise of fascism. What was true then remains true today. Rooted in an awareness of the source of our being, meaningful faith is a sister of justice, and it's reflected in the way we organize ourselves in communities. Faith that works isn't isolated to Sunday morning or the voting booth or our individual moments of prayer. Faith that works is a whole life orientation. It costs us something. It's a choice that we are each free and responsible to make carefully. Amen. Our closing hymn today is Guide My Feet. It's number 348 in your gray hymnals. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and it is okay if your feet move a little bit during this song.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
Please be seated.
We extinguish the chalice with these words from Jean M. Rowe. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace.
Friends, go in peace. Let the light within you be a blessing to the world.